Hey family, how you doing? I'm making this video for our group, and because I'm often posting things about European populations and about false identities of Europeans, and also the main topic is that I've talked about lately is white extinction, and I use that term white only because it's most common to most of us that we distinguish these people as white, and that's far a myth, and this is something we've got to recognize and stop assisting them in using the term white and black in order to help them gain more privilege. And they're doing it. We call it white privilege. We call it white nationalism, white supremacy, white race, white people. None of those exist unless unless we recognize them as being white. But they're all from Europe. So we're talking about Europeans. 51 different groups of Europeans. I'm showing you the life meter. I don't know if that number changed. I'm going to wait for that number to change a couple of times. It's going to be a couple of minutes. The agenda for me is to talk about European extinction, declining European populations, and what that means for us. I think the number just changed. And what we're looking at now is the world life meters, the worldometer. Let me see, I gotta get all the way to the top of that page there. The worldometer there. And it's showing you how fast the population is growing worldwide with Europeans. And this is a live meter, meaning that it's current, it's going on right now. I'm going to show you that as soon as this number changes. I've been on now 2.5 minutes. I've noticed that it changed once, but as we're looking at the video, we can discern that and calculate the time in between. It just changed from when I started, from when it changed the last time and just now. So I'm going to kind of show you what we're looking at. We're looking at European populations between 1915 and to this current day, 2018. We're going to look at the yearly population growth rate. Oh, let me turn this back around. Let me go back up some. Sorry about that. We're going to talk about Euro populations between 1950 and 2018. The current yearly growth rates starting from that particular period of time. Also, we're going to look at the sub-regions in Europe. As I stated, there are no white people. The areas are Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Southern Europe, Northern Europe. We've not seen anything that stated thus far that these people were white, period. So we need to stop using this false term because they're using it to gain privilege and lie like they're white so that they can say they're a white majority. That's where they're getting you on a vote, and that's where they're getting you here and there on monies being spent. That's where they're getting you and lying like they're the greatest things that ever appeared on earth. Okay, we're going to talk about the current population in Europe, and that's that number I showed you. And this is at the beginning of the day on Sunday, August 19, 2018, based on the latest United Nations estimate. The European population is equivalent to 9.8 to 83% of the total world population. I'm going to show you a video where this young man is lying. He said it was 12 because they always change the parameters and the numbers to fool you, to make you believe that they're a little bit more than they are. It's like lying about your age and saying you're 2 years younger or 5 years younger or older or whatever. And in some cases, they say they're older. The Europe population is equivalent to 9.83%, and that is worldwide. Total world population there, 9.83%. The total rank numbers among Europe ranks numbers is 3 among regions of the world. Now, you remember they say that they call Africa and Asia and other parts of the world, third world countries, what they call shithole countries. Well, we're looking at the third world right here. It's not saying that, but it truly is, because they were last. They have been last in everything, and they've stolen a lot. And all you have to do is go back to the historical record. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, but just exposing what's going on today. So I think that's the most important part of that I want to show you on where we are today. And so I want to go back up to the population here in Europe back in 1955. That was their number. And as we see, that's grown to 7 million from 5. It went from 5 million plus to 6 and on up to, through the years, they've gotten to 7. And it hasn't grown much. As you could see through the years, it hasn't grown much at all. So we're talking about a declining population. Oh my goodness. Please don't do this to me. We're talking about a declining population, and my agenda is to show you why the wall, why they want this wall. As we move along the line, you see they're not growing very much. I have to, using my cell phone, so I have to kind of navigate that as I'm talking. Their number is not growing much. So we get up here into the current number today here. And it's these are estimates. Let's get back up to, this is the estimate of today. And we saw that number on the top. I don't know if it differentiates, but or if it's grown there, or if it's less, or if that was at the beginning of the tip of the hour of the day that they used that number. But then we're going to go look at the yearly population growth, and this is the most important, because we wonder why they've been killing our young men, and they've been killing the seed. And this is why. First of all, we're going to look at that line right there. Now we're talking about yearly population growth, starting from the year of 1952. We're going to look at this line. This is at least 1. You know, if it goes up here, I'm assuming it's at that 2 point. That line where they say 2.1%, which you'll understand that later, which means to actually have 2 or more children to keep your ethnicity going. This right here is the 0 point line. At 0 point, that 0 line. And then down here is below. Then you get down, as we're coming here, we're seeing this number. drop and fall from with 1.02%. That's still not enough in 1954 to maintain a population. Population growth must be 2.1%. I need you to check that, fact check that. And as we could see, this number is not getting larger, it's getting smaller as the years go on. The number is decreasing in the population growth. This is where you can see a steady decline on this line. This is their own graph. We don't pay attention to this stuff. This is what they're using now on the bell curve. Okay, to them this sparks intellectualism. Well, I'm going to use this against them because I'm going to use their own information here. As we could see, the population in 1985 was 0.4%. As I stated, it needs to be 2.1%, meaning that you're at least having 3 children so that you can, if you lose a child, you still have maintained the population. 1988, it was 0.4%. It got 0.36%. That's below 4, so we're continuing to see a decline, and here goes the bell curve down here. Now, they like to use bell curve on intellectualism and IQ and acuity to intellectual knowledge. For me, IQ has to do with survival. Look at the low acuity rate of Europeans surviving because they're so spoiled and think that they're privileged. Look what happened to them. Now look in 1996, we're on that line. They're at 0.02%. There's hardly a speck of white children, European children being born anywhere in the world at 1996, because we're right there on that line. You see that line? I showed you the line at the beginning. That 0.0 line. Okay. Now we're dropping below the line. 1997. You see that minus? You see the minus number there? Look. Right there. That says minus 0.03%. They've dropped below the bell curve of having children and maintaining a population. And it continued for some years here. I'm going to drop a little lower here. In 1998, look, it dropped below minus. We're below the line. Minus 0.05%. That's not 0.5%. That's 0.05%. Were any children born? Were we seeing any white women pregnant or European women pregnant? 1999, it continued. Minus 0.05%. Then we move up. It dropped again in the year 2000 to minus 0.02%. That's in the year of 2000. Surely they knew since 1952, at least from this particular chart, that they were minorities. Okay, look. They're starting to grow here. It goes up from minus in 2001 to 0.02%. Hardly maintaining a population. It's been declining for a long time. This didn't happen overnight. It's finally starting to grow some. In 2003, it's 0.09%, way below. Not even the 2.1%. Then they start to decline, to grow a little bit. 2004, 0.02%. 0.12%, not even 0.5. So we get to 2008 and they break out the census report stating that European in the Western world would become a minority by 2045 or 2043. But when we look at it worldwide, it's showing that they're becoming a minority worldwide, because this is the world meter, and that includes all Europeans. Okay, we come here. They started to grow a little bit in 2008, and that's that's the year Obama was elected. It was a few years later I started hearing the white genocide propaganda. They started to use Obama and say that diversity, meaning all the races that are non-Europeans, we're causing genocide. We're killing them for coming into the country through migration, which they are migrants. As I showed you, we're looking at the European world population. It says nothing about white people. They're migrants. Okay. Whenever you talk about non-Europeans, then they have a problem now with them being migrants, because they said that they're causing this to happen. The universe is causing this to happen. This is called extinction. 2009, it dropped to 0. No, it still stayed at 0.2%. Then it dropped in 2010 to 1.7 to 17. It dropped to 14 in 2011. So where are we now in 2018? Let me click that off. 2018, we are at today, them being, the yearly growth rate is 0.08%. It dropped again. Did you see that? It dropped again. Now you see why they want to build a wall. Because their whole entire ethnicity group are declining. They're going extinct. This is why you see the murder rate increasing. This is why you see all of those murders occurring in Chicago, that they're saying is black on black crime, but nobody's getting arrested for it. And they happen subsequently in a timeline, like on the weekend between Thursdays and Saturday. All of these people get killed. Those are massacres. Those are police and people coming in, killing all of those black people over, those African Americans in Chicago, reporting it out as black on black crime. So open your eyes. Open your eyes. This is the reason Dylan Roof killed 9 black people. It's the reason that Michael Brown was killed. It is the reason Trayvon Martin was murdered. Okay. That's what I wanted to show you. So when I'm posting these, and the post did get a lot of recognition, you need to pay attention, because I'm not trying to pull us away from ourselves. We have to be aware and conscious of what's going on around us. You know, what is being conscious? Not conscious. What's being conscious? You have to pay attention and be aware of what these people are doing, their agenda, and what is the manifestation of it. Because it's not new, but it has increased. And it has increased over these years. Where you first began to see it was with the Tea Party and with Obama becoming president. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put this video on hold, and I'm going to come back with the video I want to add to this that shows that there are seminars being given about the topic, white extinction. It's not called genocide when they're talking about it because they know they are dying off of the population. So I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I'm going to show a video that talks about and confirms that Europeans are talking about this subject all over, but we are just not included in it and these topics. And usually we don't look for this stuff. That's the reason we don't know why we're being attacked and what's going on. We just know we're being attacked because of our status of being non-Europeans. Although they call us black, we're African Americans. We're Africans in our genetics, just like they are European in theirs. So as long as we continue to let them get away with saying white race when they're Europeans, this is how they're fooling you, getting away with this false white majority. You got to remove white. How do you kill white people without ever touching them? Is you kill off white because they're not white. So stop calling them white. It takes about 3 weeks to stop calling somebody. I struggle with it myself. They're Europeans, and we are to recognize them as Europeans. Just like they don't recognize slavery and reparations. They say they never owned any slaves. Well, neither did they own any land either when they came into America in mass migration in 1872, after the 14th Amendment had been signed. It was to offset the freed new citizens of the United States, which were the former African slaves. They were not a majority. And how did they create a majority? Was take Europeans, plant them here, and call them white and us black, and then pretend they were a majority. But I've already shown you their declining populations. It clearly says, is the white race under threat in America? Did you watch that video? I doubt if you did. You don't look up this stuff. I've got extinction spelled there wrongly on this, but it came up. White people trending towards extinction. White extinction. If present trends are not reversed, whites will disappear as a distinct race. There are people in position of power who are, and you see, they're showing a vicious wolf. You can see that, look. A vicious wolf. And they call it white extinction. You guys better pay attention. Stop. I know that we're in the information age and we're learning a lot of things and conscious things. It's been the first time we've been really able to just communicate with each other from across the world with all the new information age and the social media. But we need to pay attention. Why they killing us? It's out of malicious reasons, as it's always been. And they're willing to start a race war now. More Caucasians dying than being born. You guys better pay attention. Are white people going extinct? They're killing themselves off of heroin and drugs. They've always had the most money and used the most drugs. the great replacement. We talked about the population being, we've seen how low their populations were, and ours are normal. The great replacement. The death rates among middle-aged white Americans are on the rise. It goes on and on. Death rates among whites rising at an alarming rate. Minorities become the majority. You better pay attention to why they're trying to kill us. You better pay attention to why Dylan Roof got away with killing Trayvon Martin with an all-white jury or all-European jury. You better pay attention to why Dylan Roof killed 9 black people, and he was looking at conservative Americas, and these are the sites. These are part of it. When you start going to American Renaissance and White Rabbit sites and conservative America, you're running into nothing but pure racist rhetoric talking about genocide instead of extinction, because they want you to think that they're being killed. That's the reason for the wall. Now I'm going to let